All right, I'm back, whether you want me to be or not. So let's talk a little bit about the teachings of Buddha, and this will be a short video. But you know, you can't rush Buddhism. Okay, so teachings of the Buddha. Well, let's begin with the middle way. So remember, he found in his life that self-denial, that ascetic life, eating 1 grade of rice a day, and then his life as a young person being totally self-indulgent, neither of those things kind of helped him. So he found that there's got to be a middle path, right? So he talked about how to achieve the middle way between these two extremes. So part of becoming the enlightened one, the Buddha, he discovered that there are 4 noble truths, right? The first truth is what we already mentioned, dukkha, if I may say it horribly. There is suffering in the world, right? To live is to suffer. And I think this is universal. Would we all agree this? Even in your young age, perhaps you've experienced some suffering, and maybe it is, I think we've all acknowledged that. If we haven't experienced it, we certainly have seen it. And so why do we suffer? And so that's number 2, is the cause of suffering is self-centered desire and attachments. And so you got to think about this. Why do people suffer? And it's not just like, oh, I wish I had a fancy car and my life is lame because I don't have one, so I'm suffering. But it's this, maybe your desire of happiness, or a loving family, or living in a peaceful country, or, I mean, it could be that. And so because we're attached to the people around us, maybe we're attached to our material possessions, attached to these causes of the world, that desire for those things or those attachments cause us to suffer. Okay, so what is the solution? Then is the truth number 3, and that is to eliminate desire and attachments. And that is by kind of eliminating yourself, in a sense. And that is what is nirvana, extinction. And to reach that, you must follow the Eightfold Path. Now, I know this probably sounds a little bleak, and it's not talking about taking your own life. This is something that you pursue throughout life to achieve this. But the idea of, like, I always think of it as a flame on a candle, right? Have we all wet our fingers and put out the flame of a candle? That's what they're thinking of, that you are ready to become so unattached, right, to the point that you even lose your identity, and kind of when you become one with the universal consciousness. In Hinduism, you still have your essence as a part of that, where in Buddhism, especially Theravada Buddhism, you don't have that essence anymore. And so if this sounds too dark or not positive, the Buddha would say that's okay. Maybe you're not ready for that in this life. And that's where he sees that where we have the cycle of birth and death, rebirth and death, is that maybe it takes many lifetimes.
Good afternoon, Valerie.
Sorry, I had to take a pause there. As you can tell, I'm doing this at school. Okay, so what was I saying? So hopefully that makes sense. I know nirvana might make us uncomfortable, but I think the Buddha would say you're just not ready for that, and it might take a while. And this also takes hours of meditation and the different paths, right? Theravada, Mahayana, Tibetan, Zen Buddhism would all maybe talk about different ways to achieve this, to be ready. So you could do it in one life, or maybe it would take more. So regardless of your thoughts on this, to achieve nirvana, you must follow the Eightfold Path. So while you have to know the 4 Noble Truths, I won't make you memorize the Eightfold Path. But if you notice this, excuse me, right understanding, right speech, right livelihood, right concentration, right mindfulness, Ooh, sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, sorry about that. So anyway, this idea of the right intention, right action, etc. So what does that mean? You know, at the right time, are you saying things that are right, you know, that help people, that are you pursuing a career that is good, that helps the community around you, helps your family, things of this nature. So that is what Buddha means by the right effort, the right action. So by pursuing all of these 8 things, right, we will achieve nirvana. So, remember, you're escaping. So like Hinduism, Buddhism is also seeking an escape from the cycle of rebirth, samsara, and that you're having this union with the ultimate spiritual reality, the divine consciousness. And so that is nirvana. Again, so I think probably Theravada Buddhism and Buddha himself would teach that that is the extinguishing of your soul. All right. So ponder these deep thoughts. If you have questions or if there's things you want to discuss, hopefully you've written them down, and we'll talk about them in class.